Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, giving infinite praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, B'chakodash. Giving double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Shalom and salutation to all you sincere Akim across the four winds, pushing His truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasamagan from the DC camp, coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Wachakudasha for the elect. Now, this is going to be Lord willing, a quick lesson going into prophecy and the times that we in. Basically, you got this man right here, Chuck Schumer. You know, he's basically the biggest politician on the left, what would be known as the Democrats, and he's one of the main guys that's definitely against the whole MAGA, Donald Trump, and you know, the government shutdown as far as like open, you know, having the government getting back to work, because of course they have disagreements, right? I mean, you can't just put the blame on one person, because although I'm gonna use something that he said in particular, what's going on now in Babylon the Great, aka the U.S., is that the politicians, the rulers, the lower level rulers, they've basically been told what to do, and with the game that they have to play, because this is nothing new to these politicians. They all went to school. They all know about the history of what happens when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The gap between the rich and the poor. They understand that in history, as you know, that gap widens and the economy crumbles and people lose their jobs. People can't go to work. They understand where this thing leads, right? They know that this thing leads to ultimately an uprising, sedition of men. And one of the primary targets when the people rise up and they have Molotov cocktails and pitchforks is going to be politicians. So these guys are playing a game with their lives, which a lot of them are going to lose their lives. That's just a part of it. That's just what happened when a society collapsed. Especially through sedition. The average people know who the rulers are. They have names and faces and addresses and shit like that. So this thing is going to get nasty. It's going to get ugly. So this guy, Chuck Schumer, let's go into what he just said, right? Because he's calling upon this because it's part of his orders, right? He's been given his orders from the Rothschilds to implode the U.S. From the inside, all right?
Chuck Schumer saying he wants a forceful uprising.
People should be forcefully rising up against this.
They're obviously agitating for more violence. You see the governor candidate in Virginia, said, I want to kill these state reps. I want to kill their children. I want to kill cops. The other gubernatorial candidate asked the lady, will you decry him calling for killing members of the legislature and their children?
Would it take him pulling the trigger and then you would say he needs to get out of the race? Abigail, you have nothing to say?
I mean, these people are doing this on purpose.
Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, you see that? That she was quiet and she had that like a little smirk, because again, from the left to the right, Republicans, conservatives, left liberals, Democrats. It doesn't really matter. These politicians, these lower level rulers and princes, they're really moving according to prophecy. All right. The Lord has put the spirit on the Rothschilds to basically send out a signal, to give out orders to implode Babylon the Great from the inside. So politicians from both sides, on Trump's side, they're doing the same thing. And they're not budging. And also on the left, they're not budging, right? And they're asking for a forceful uprising. Chuck Schumer he's a so-called Jew rat. So he knows exactly what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? And what he's saying is that what? Hey, listen, we're not going to come to the table. We're going to have these people suffer. The big squeeze is going to keep on happening. And the inflation is high. People losing their jobs. He understands what he's calling for. And that's sedition among men, which that's going to happen. We're going to get that in the scriptures. But the thing is that even those rulers, those lower level rulers that some way somehow believe that they're going to be immune, only a few of them are going to hightail out of here before this thing implodes. But most of them are going to get caught up and when this thing hit the fan. They're gonna get caught up in their homes. You're gonna see you're gonna see politicians hanging from poles, shot. It's gonna be crazy, man, when this thing happens. But again, there's nothing new under the sun. This has happened before. It's just that now, this is the end of the world, so it's gonna happen on an even greater scale, and the population is armed and desperate and ready to really crash out. Now, this is a warning for the hopeful elect, for us to basically prepare our households spiritually, mentally, and really the physical part to a certain extent, right? Because you want to be in decent health, because you might have to move. There's going to be a lot of shit going on. There's going to be a lot of death and destruction. Now, when you look at one of the top stories is again the federal government shutdown, and it's crazy because again we've had multiple federal government shutdowns or attempt to shut down a government, but for years they always came to the table. They always came to the table. It's like at the last hour, right? They kind of threw a Hail Mary out there and they would sign something. This is the first time where they actually just saying, nah, we're not doing that. And Trump said, listen, I'm using this opportunity to cut out jobs that I don't want to come back, basically. And like that's why I stated in one of the videos, the lessons that I made, that when Doge, Elon Musk, Doge, when they putting a squeeze on the federal workers that wasn't doing their jobs and shit like that. And when he asked the federal workers to respond to those emails and they basically gave him the middle finger, like Nero was like, okay, man, when the next government shutdown comes, we gonna shut this shit down. So again, it's not just the Republicans and Democrats. They're both playing this dangerous game that's gonna basically implode the U.S., which, again, this is the will of the Lord. See, Bernie Sanders and AOC reject Republican promise of healthcare vote to end shutdown. So everybody is saying, nah, we're not coming to the table. In the meantime, people are suffering. All right? People are living paycheck to paycheck, man. Month to month. Live updates, government shutdown vote fails. Trump to meet with Putin on ending Ukraine war. He's not worried about no government reopening because the government is still functioning. It's just is those members of the federal government that they believe are really expendable. All right, they've already basically believed you to be expendable, so they don't want to bring you back. Republicans don't, and Democrats don't. So they playing this game, and they know it's going to excite the minds of the modern day Egyptians, which are the Babylonians, aka the United States citizens. This is a plot to implode this nation from the inside. All right, and you would say, but why? Well, the reason why is because just like in ancient Egypt, the nation of Israel, when it was time for the nation of Israel to be gathered and get out, right, and to exit, that's the book Exodus, the plagues came upon Egypt. So this is a plague that's coming upon modern day Egypt, Babylon the Great, as the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans elect to being gathered and ready to for the final exodus via chariots. All right, the chariots of Israel upon the return of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. Says, is the U.S. government still shut down? Here's what we know. All right, so these are live updates. The federal government is still shut down. Here's what that means across the country. Government shutdown day 16. Funding bill fails. 10th vote. 10th vote. So clearly, it's going down. I mean, I don't see it. Like, of course, they could always come to the table and come up with something. But a lot of those federal jobs are not coming back. Like, this was always the plan. So a lot of people are going to suffer. And we going into the wintertime? Yeah, man. Normally, I don't see riots when it gets cold. But this might be the one winter, like the scripture said, that pray that your flight be not in the winter. This might be the one time I can actually see riots break out during the wintertime, because normally, people don't like to riot during the wintertime. But if it gets really bad, they're gonna do what they gotta do. They're gonna get out there with fat jackets, and break windows and handle their business. So these are the times you're going into, man. So we have to be very aware. So let's get the precept. This is 2nd Ezra 15. Go straight to the point. Verse 15, it says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth near, draweth near, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands," meaning guns. All right. So we coming into the time now where a lot of people are going to start using their firearms, against people that are part of the authority, from cops to politicians to all of these people. They're going to crash out. Even at my job, I was talking to this regular Jake, and we were just acknowledging the fact. He was acknowledging the fact that, yeah, people are crashing out here. People committing suicide. Kinds of shit's going on, man. Verse 16, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." So first we're going to deal with the word sedition. All right, so the word sedition means a rebellion, uprising. All right, didn't Chuck Schumer say what we need a forceful uprising? Who was he talking to? He wasn't talking to politicians. Those politicians, man, from Chuck Schumer to the Speaker of the House on the Republican side, all these guys. If you look at how much these dudes were supposed to be making, at the most, these guys, these politicians and congressmen, at the most, they're supposed to make between 200,000 to 400,000 tops. I think the president of the United States is supposed to make like 400,000 a year or some shit like that. But all of these criminals, all these criminals are millionaires. Some of them are billionaires. So how do you have a system where these public servants were supposed to serve the people, quote unquote, now they're billionaires and making deals and taxing the shit out of people? Now, as an Israelite, we understand what this is. This is clearly what it's always been, which is captivity, modern day slavery. We've never believed in this whole equality bullshit. It's just modern day slavery. It's just that when you have slaves that have nice cars, when you have slaves that have decent housing, you have slaves that have a wife, children. Slaves get to go to the movies. Slaves get to do things that former slaves weren't able to do. So it's a lot easier to deceive people into believing that they are actually free and autonomous. But once once the economy starts to regress, now you get to see that, oh, okay, yeah, you always a slave. You need a license for everything. You pay property taxes on a house that you quote unquote own. You don't pay mortgage, and if that house is not paid off, you stop paying mortgage, somebody would take that house back. But then when they gave you the keys, they said, well, this is your house. But then you got to make payments. And then you got to pay for the property. You have to have a license to drive, a license to travel, a license for this, a license for that, a license to fish. I mean, come on, bro. It says sedition, rebellion, uprising, revolt, fictitious combination in the state. It says concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority. All right. So Chuck Schumer, as a politician, is gassing up people to rise up and physically, right, civilly overthrow his opposition, which are Republicans, right? But he knows that once people rise up, they're not just going to go for all Republican and Democrats. They're just going to say, the hell with this whole system. All of you damn crony criminals are going to have to be hanging on the pole. He knows that, but Chuck Schumer is like, hey, I'm a rat. When the shit hit the fan, he's got a jet ready to go. Probably going to go and hide somewhere in Israel somewhere, and then he's just going to watch from afar and watch this place implode. It says It says violent strife between factions, civil or religious disorder, riot, rebelliousness against authority, civil disorder. And listen, normally when you get sedition, it's usually grassroots, meaning the people that are suffering in the bottom are saying, you know what, the hell with these clowns at the top. We got to go and get them. But then when you got a guy at the top, a guy that's part of the problem, saying to to the people grassroots say, oh yeah, you know what y'all should do? Y'all should grab your pitchforks and your Molotov cocktails and come and get us. That's how you know this is clearly staged. He's clearly inciting this shit because, again, he's got his orders from the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, which is, again, beginning the demise of Babylon the Great from the inside out. And the Lord said this. He said that this is how he's going to take out Babylon from the inside out. Let's go straight to it. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, and I'm going to start at 45. All right. And this chapter is all about Babylon the Great. It's all about the United States. All right. Heavy. The economical collapse, and then the reaction of the people in the land. So let's deal with the reaction of the people of the land. It says Jeremiah 51 and 45. It says, my people, go ye out of the midst of it, meaning you Israelites, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the elect, the 1/3, 144. And deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. Now, when it says go ye out of the midst, it's talking about removing yourself mentally and spiritually from, the ways of the ways of Babylon. All right. So yes, you still got to work, but be prepared to be moving around as a pilgrim. Be prepared for this place to implode. All right. It's not talking about physically leaving Babylon. All right. It's not talking about that. Verse 46, it says, unless your heart faint and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. So what's the rumor that's being heard in the land? All right. Now there's multiple rumors. All right. Now, ultimately, the ultimate rumor is that, Babylon is going to be destroyed via thermonuclear missiles. But prior to that, you're going to have multiple rumors. What is the rumor that's being heard in the land for the past, since Donald Trump took office back in 2016? It's the rumor of civil war. Everybody talks about that. This is the rumor that the scripture's talking about. Every year we always hear civil war this, civil war that, uprising, right? So verse 46, lest your heart faint and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that, in another year, shall come a rumor. And what? Violence in the land. Ruler against ruler. That's the rumor. So the rumor is that what? Civil war is going to take place. And every year is the rumor, civil war's coming. Civil war's coming. And then eventually, bam, violence in the land, ruler against ruler. So now let's read this in the NLT. Verse 46. It says, but do not panic. Don't be afraid when you hear the first rumor of approaching forces. For rumors will keep coming year by year. Violence will erupt in the land as the leaders fight against each other. All right. So now let me see if I can CSB. Yeah, no. That's not going. As a matter of fact, let me go to let's go back to the KJV and let's look at verse 47. We're gonna look at that word rulers, right? The rulers. Bam. Let's go down. No, that's not it. Come on. 46. Jeremiah 51 and 46. Let's look at the rulers. It shall come. The rumor of violence and the land ruler. All right. So let's look at the word ruler right here. All right. So you got the mashallah. Right. So. All right, let me see. Strong's. There you go. Right there. Because the scripture speaks about, in the Apocrypha, it speaks about their princes and their kings and princes and rulers. All right. So right here, a primitive root, it says to rule, dominion, governor. All right. So you have governors. We actually have governors, a state governor, mayors. You have governors going against other governors. It says, indeed, reign bear cause to rule over. All right, rulers. Let's go to biblical usage. It says, have dominion, reign to rule, have dominion to cause to rule, to exercise dominion. So the rulers are talking about the governors. So that's how you get civil unrest and civil war. All right, so this is clearly, prophecy. Jeremiah 51:46, and that rumor of the civil war has really been it's been every year. We just kind of like waiting and waiting, and the stage is being set through the Spirit. The Lord is the one establishing this, man. But at the end of the day, as hopeful elect, we know that as long as we push this truth and we prophesy, we're going to be taken care of. We're going to be protected. So therefore, there's no need to take physical flight, and because you can't take physical flight, because then you actually stepping out of, you stopping Yahushua from doing his job. His job is to deliver his people from the clutches of Babylon the Great, from the U.S. So if you leave before he shows up, that means you didn't have faith. That means you didn't let him do his job. Everybody got a job to do. Our job is to continue to warn the elect, right? And, have faith in the Lord and keep the laws to the best of our ability. Now, let's conclude with Psalms 91 and 2. It says, I will say of the Lord, well, as a matter of fact, let's start at 1, man. It says, security of the one who trusts in the Lord. So how are you going to be secure when all hell breaks loose? Well, that's why we have to read the scriptures, right? Psalms 91:1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. All right. It says, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power. In him will I trust. So we trust in the Lord, because you could easily get a passport and get out. But then that shows that you didn't have trust in the Lord, and you had, you basically didn't believe that the Lord had the power and to come deliver you. So if you don't trust in the Lord, then he's going to have to get rid of you, because the kingdom of heaven, the key to the kingdom is faith and trust in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. And if you don't have faith and trust, then you cannot enter into the kingdom, because it's built. That kingdom is built for Israelite individuals that have faith and trust. If that's not in you, you just won't make it. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. All right. The traps of the fowler is that unclean creature, Edom, Esau, and all these heathens. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Right. And the wings is what? It's protection. The angels are going to get busy. They're gonna be going around making sure that they like to protect it, and also certain brothers gonna have spiritual powers to defend themselves in certain situations. These are things that are in the scriptures, and we believe that. That's why we're not taking no physical flight. We're gonna stay here and continue to do the job that needs to be done, which is preaching His word, and then we're gonna because that's what Yahushua has asked for us to do, and then He said, if you do that, then let me do what I got to do, which is to make sure you good. So if you, do your part, and then put it right back into Yahushua and see what He does. You know what I'm saying? That's basically, how we moving. Verse 5, thou shalt not be afraid of the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flies by day. All right? The missiles and all that, man. It's fearful. I mean, it brings fright, but we're not. Nah, man. When this thing hit the fan, we're going to be in a totally different mindset. Like, we're going to be in a similar mindset times 100. So because all of that, the nonsense shit, the drama bullshit that we deal with on a daily basis, the taxation, the daily alarm going off, you got to get up and go to work, the thousands of bills that you don't want to have to pay, that you have to pay, the woman in your life, wife, baby mama, children, all this bullshit. All of a sudden, those things are going to be quiet. They're going to be non-existent because the lights are going to go off. And then all of a sudden, the level of spiritual, like right now we're spiritual, but we nowhere near our spiritual to the level that we're going to be when all of these fucking distractions are taken away, man. You know what I'm saying? That's when we really going to be able to ascend, to the levels that we all really want to. Until then, we just got to be patient and do this job and do this work. Verse 6, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. I'm going to stop right here, man. You can read the whole chapter, but it goes into the security of the one who trusts in the Lord. So that's a lesson for the day. Again, your boy Chuck Schumer acting wild and crazy. He's paid off lower level rulers inciting violence. It's all scriptural as we progress, towards the end of Babylon. So with that, I'm going to say, Kar Halemla, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua Ba'ashem, Wachakwadash, giving double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Shalom. Salutation to all you sensei Akim across the four winds. Shalom.